going to talk this morning about margin. Anybody know what in the world I'm talking about when I say margin? I'm talking about that stuff you put on your butter or on your bread. All right, not margarine. All right, margin. All right, margin. There's a very, and I got to keep. Whoops, I got to flip this thing on. Margin. Very simple definition for margin is the amount available beyond what is necessary. All right, the amount available beyond what is necessary. Okay, I go to the gas station. And I put gas in my car. And the first thing I do is I look at my wallet to find out how much cash is in my wallet. Because I am very keenly aware, as every single one of us are, that gas costs a whole lot more money now than what it used to. I remember the first time it became $1 a gallon. Oh my gosh, $1 a gallon. All right, we do. And, you know, when you drive 62 miles one way to your office now, you know where the cheap gas is. And for me to drive up to the next exit, no problem, because sometimes it's 20 cents different than in Canton. Don't ask, I don't know why. It just is. All right, we just enter into Summit County, gas changes. And then I drive on. I do it all the time, all right? But I have to check and see how much money do I have, because see, if I put $50 worth of gas in my car and I only have $40 in my wallet, I have a problem, don't I? I'm going to be in big trouble. They're not going to let me leave. They're going to call the police. They're going to want to know you need to use your credit card. Laura went to use our card yesterday and not making a big purchase and went to swipe it and declined. What? Declined. It says you need to call your bank. We're going, oh, come on, we don't live that close to the edge here. We're not that stupid. Somebody got a hold of her card number. She goes, you know, that's the beauty of online banking. You go on, there it is. And Shell, somewhere in Spring Valley, something or other, $50. And then there's a $54 and some change. And I go, somebody's got our number. Get a hold of the bank. They said, yes, we shut it off because we thought this didn't make any sense. You know, somehow somebody has gotten, and she has the card. That's what's crazy. But somebody has gotten a hold of her number, and they were using it, okay? So needless to say, our bank margin no longer existed, okay? We'll get it fixed. It's all going to, you know, we're okay. It's not, you know, it's not like somebody has stolen every dime we've got, because, trust me, they'd gotten about 20 cents. But anyway, you know, we're okay, all right? But margin is kind of that thing. It's having distance between you and what you need, okay? In other words, distance, like that, let's put it this way. Margin is the distance between sin and temptation, okay? You know, the alcoholic hanging out in a sports bar on Sunday probably isn't a smart thing to do, okay? To the gambling addict, hanging out at the Horseshoe Casino probably isn't the smartest thing to do. You hear what I'm saying? Okay? To a person who's been put on a very strict diet in order to get healthy, and, you know, hanging out at Dunkin' Donuts probably just isn't the smartest thing to do. You hear what I'm saying? Okay? But margin goes beyond those things. We look at that and we go, oh, well, that's just obvious. Margin is also having the emotional capacity to deal with problems. Have you ever met somebody who they are always on the edge emotionally? I just can't take one more thing. I mean, their entire life is like a caffeine addict, okay, who's on overload. They're into everything. Everything's a crisis. Everything's an okay? Sometimes circumstances in our life get us to that point, okay, and we have those, all right? But people who live there all the time, you know they are nothing but a heart attack waiting to happen, a stroke waiting to happen, because they just, emotionally, they're just always messed up. All right? Margin is maybe having 3 or 4 nights at home in a week, and you have nothing to do but actually spend it with your family. No ball games, no practice. And I see those of us who are younger, okay, you know, some of you are going, wow, I've been like that for years. I wish I had something to do. That's, you know, you're in a different world, you know, but nothing's going on. No meetings, no whatevers. And you actually have dinner together. My wife plans those nights. We're going to have dinner. Everybody is going to be home and have dinner. That's usually the thing. My kids, Dad, I want to go do this. Does Mom want us home for dinner? Oh, it's really not that bad. You'll learn. But you know, but for some of us, that's it, because we never see our families. We're all just all over the world. All right. For some of us, margin could be having extra time or extra money to give to people or to ministries or something that you really believe in. And you really want to be able to do that, but because you live your life so on the edges, you're not able to do that. Okay? Margin could simply mean having time to think or reflect or study or meditate on pursuing that dream that you have. Maybe you have a place you want to go in your career and you're just, oh man, if I just had an extra bit of time. You know, I learned something in some of the studying that I do and the leadership training and development and all the stuff that I work on. And they say if you spend 1 hour a day studying a subject for 5 years, you will be an expert in that subject. You will have invested as much time and absorbed, you know, if you're, and I'm talking truly studying, not pretending that, but I mean, you're really studying this subject. You will absorb more knowledge on that subject than you would if you got a PhD in that subject. An hour a day. I wish I had an hour a day. A lot of us have an hour a day. Okay? I tell people I read anywhere from 3 to 4 books at the same time. Not like stacked, but I mean, I've got multiple books going all the time. For me to read 15 to 20 books a month is nothing. All right? And I don't read novels. I don't read fluffy devotional books. Okay? I don't read anything like that. All right? I read things that help me in growing a church. I read things on personal development, and I'm talking real personal development, not the, you know, self-help, you know, I think I can, I think, that's not what okay. You know, it's a lot of personal investment in how to minister in my church, how to develop leaders around me, all these kinds of things. And I learned quite a few years ago that if I study with the intent of teaching what I study, I will learn even more. And so when I read a book and things like that, especially something that, wow, this is really fascinating to me, I learn to outline that book. So that I literally, with the purpose of one day, I may get to teach this subject matter to somebody. Okay? So that's what we're talking about here a little bit here. All right? Margin, though, it's just something most of us don't have. When we look at our life, margin is something we just don't have. If we looked at our day planner, if we looked at our calendars, and those of us who keep calendars and planners and things of that nature, if we really, I can sit there, I can open your calendar up, I can look at it, and I can tell you exactly what's some of the most important things in your life. And for most of you, and for most of us, the things that I'm going to say are the most important things. You're going to say, oh, no, that's not. Then I would say, let me see your checkbook, because I can definitely tell you what's the most important thing in your life by looking at your checkbook. That's none of your business. Well, as I do coaching with people, I've done that to them. As I work, well, help me with, you know, and I do some of these things. I go, well, let me see your calendar. And most of the time, I'll ask them, make a list, put in order what the most important thing. God and my faith is the most important thing. Don't say that because you think I want to hear it. Tell me if it is or not, because I'm going to look at your calendar and I'm going to know real fast if it is or not. Because I can tell by how you schedule your life. So where are you putting your God time at on your calendar? And I'll go through and I'll circle things. Well, I go to church, but you know, I had this going on, and the kids had this, and the kid. Okay. And one of the things that happens is we can get ourselves caught up in things that aren't necessarily sin, but they sure cause us to live on the edge of it. Let's look at something here out of Scripture. Luke chapter 10, verses 38 to 42, tells us the story of this exact situation. It's about two sisters, and you're going to recognize this as soon as we get started. It says, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home, and her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work. Tell her to come and help me. Anyway, I'll get back to that. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you're worried and upset over all of these details. There's only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. All right? One of the things that we have to understand is margin is the difference between what you have and what you need. Margin is the difference between what you have and what you need. How many of you would be honest with me today and say, I need a deeper relationship with Christ? Get your hands up. Don't sit there and nod your head, because then everybody who's sitting around you that don't see it, they think, oh, wow, look how spiritual they are. Or that godless heathen. One of the two, all right? Those are your two options, all right? All of us. My hands are up for that too, all right? But it's the difference between what I have and what I need. See, sometimes it's that life in the margins that helps us begin to understand maybe I wouldn't need nearly as much as I think I do if I would just get what I have in the right alignment. Here's the interesting thing about Mary and Martha. See, when Jesus shows up, Jesus doesn't come alone. Jesus had an entourage. We refer to them as the disciples, all right? And we think, oh, Jesus had 12 guys that followed him. It is believed that Jesus probably had as many as 100 to 120 people that constantly followed him. Now, you think about that. The only thing I can equate to that is being a parent of a teenager. Hey, Mom, Dad, can some of my friends come over after the game? And my first question is how many? Because, see, that means we want food, and we want stuff to drink, and you're not going to sleep. How many are coming over? A few. How many is a few? See, I learned that from my own parents, because, see, I would do that to my mom and dad. Hey, some of the guys from the band are going to come over. Is that okay? How many? The entire percussion section? And how many is that? 22? And by the way, can we get pizza? Which meant, I don't have any money. They don't have any money. That's why we're coming to you instead of going out for pizza. Okay? Now, some of you are looking at it going, yeah, you've lived that world, haven't you? See, and I remember that because I know what I did to my parents, and I know God has a sense of humor. Okay? And God will throw back on me worse than what I did to my parents. I just know that because I'm living it, all right? So those of you who have kids, just think, whatever you did, it's coming back. Anyway, the difference between what you have and what you need. Mary, I'm sure looked around the house and, oh, you got to be kidding. Jesus is coming. Oh, well, I know there's dishes that need to be done and laundry stacked up, and I doubt if anybody has even looked at cleaning the bathroom yet because it's not Saturday yet. We haven't done chores. Here he is. Come on in. Martha, on the other hand, is flipping out. Oh my gosh, there's dirty underwear in here. We got this and that. I got to feed all these. Wah! Okay? She's flipping out. How many of you know that world? There's all these preacher jokes about the preacher shows up and the family wasn't expecting. We got to hide all this stuff. See, that's why I like whenever I go show up at somebody's house, I really like to show up unannounced. I used to do this to teenagers. I'd actually set it up with their parents and show up while the teenager was still asleep, so usually about 2, 3 in the afternoon. And we actually did it a few times with a video camera. What does your room say about you? And we would boom, 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 wake up, bring them a glass of orange juice. Hey! And the whole time, And we didn't have all the fancy editing equipment to blur out the dirty underwear and all that stuff laying all over the floor. And we wouldn't leave them alone until they had to read a verse out of the Bible. It was fun. And then we'd show it at youth group. I was one of those kind of youth pastors, all right? That is so mean. Well, see, now we'd call it bullying. Back then, we just call it, that's just having fun. So I don't, that's just what it is. But we see these things, and we do, because we don't want people to know that our life is really living on the edges. And not that dangerous, risky, I'm going to, jump off the top of a building with one of those, jumpsuits on, and woo, I'm so on the edge. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. It's because we just, we burn the candle at both ends and in the middle too. Because, well, that's what we're supposed to do. That's how people know we got it together. I'm sorry, but you know what? There's been Sunday mornings. It's a good thing we do drive an hour to get here, because I have to get saved in the last 30 miles. All right? Because of what took place in our house, because I have teenagers who think sleep is something you do when you're dead. And they're, yes, get up! I have to go! All right. Are you getting ready? Then they get in the shower. The car is running! We're already 20 minutes. I'm going to get there and they're already taking the offering by the time we get. Let's go! Well, she interrupted me, so yeah. I mean, that's my house on Sunday morning. I realize none of you. Everybody wakes up, oh, I'm just so excited to go to church. I know. Because that's where you all live. I live in reality. All right? See, here's the thing. Satan, our spiritual enemy, if he can't make us really, really bad, then he'll make us really, really busy. See, if he can't drag us into some really dirty, rotten, disgusting sin, he'll just make us really, really busy. And you know what that does? That gets our mind off of the things we're really supposed to be doing. And that sets us up for being disobedient. And guess what? He gets us the other way. There are a lot of good Christians. A lot of good Christians. They're in church every time they can be there. All right? They do a lot of good things. And yet they live in disobedience. Because they're not doing what Christ wants them to do. Now it gets quiet. Was Martha doing anything wrong? Absolutely not. She's trying to be a good host. She's trying to take care of all these people like a good host should do. If you've ever been invited to somebody's house for dinner and they expected you to bring the dinner, that's not a very good host. Now they might say, hey, would you mind bringing a dessert? Sure. And you come to my house, hey, you're going to come over? You know, yeah, sure. You guys want to grill? Sure. What do you guys want? What do you guys like? I love to grill. And see, and I don't like doing, I'll do burgers. That's all fine, but I like doing things where I have to start the grill at like 8 o'clock in the morning so that your meal is ready by 6, 7 o'clock that night, because it has sat in that smoker for hours. And the neighbors hate me because all day they're smelling my food cooking and, they do. What are you having? Doesn't matter. You don't get any. Have a great day. We used to have a neighbor, we joke all the time about that because he had a smoker too. But anyway, but that's the thing. We have to understand the enemy realizes that if I can keep you even busy doing all good things, if it's keeping you from doing the right thing, I still win. We have a lot of churches that spend an awful lot of time and energy keeping this, and yes, there's upkeep, okay, I understand, but we spend more time and energy trying to have the latest, greatest, biggest, wowest, whatevers, and yet when it comes to evangelizing our world and investing in the people around us, it's way out of balance. We have a lot of people that sit in our churches that they'll put more time and more money and more investment into there. And please, if I hit you between the eyes, just deal with it. In their cars, in their house, in their yard, in their boat, in their hobby, than they've ever thought about investing in the kingdom. We're out of balance. Okay? Do you hear what I'm saying here this morning? So let's keep going here. See, we are consumed and obsessed and possessed with accomplishing the urgent and what we think is important. And we're missing the most important things in life. We live in a culture that tells us that. Just spend time at an elementary school and watch the moms who are just constantly frantic. Because, well, I got to go here, and I got to help out with that, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to do here, and I got this one here, and I got that one. And their kids are going, Mommy, Mommy. But Mom is so busy being important in the city because we need everybody to know who we are. that in the process we're neglecting our kids. I spent a lot of time with pastors' kids. I used to spend 4 days with them every year on a retreat. I've dealt with kids who came to those retreats with no intention of ever going home, because while they were on that retreat, they had every intention of going into the woods and off themselves because of what it was like at home. I just want my dad. I just want my dad. Because he's so busy solving everybody else's problems and he has no idea what I'm going through. I just want my dad. And if this is the only thing I can do to get his attention, fine. I know PKs who have set out to destroy their dad's ministry just to get his attention. Now I'm going to be real honest. Those dads are so wrong. And as a pastor, I watch that all the time. Have I always been successful? Absolutely not. I made a vow several years ago that I will never, ever, 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 ever live in a church parsonage again. I don't care if it's a freaking mansion. I will never do it again. Because for 10 years, I lived next door to my office. Literally, no further away than that yellow house is from this front door. For 10 years, I couldn't sit in my house. I couldn't have dinner. I couldn't sit and watch TV. I couldn't go upstairs to the bathroom without seeing work. I'm sitting there, I'm trying to watch TV, I'm playing with the kids, and something would pop in my head. Oh, shoot. Hey, I'll be right back. I need to go take care of something real quick. And 3 hours later, I'd walk back through the door. But it's for God. I'm doing the work of the kingdom. While I'm neglecting my wife, while I'm neglecting my children. But you don't understand, that's what I got to do to advance in this company. There are times when all the things that we think are important are the absolute wrong things. They are the absolute wrong things. I remember a night we're getting ready to leave for a missions trip. I'm taking 16 kids to Russia. I've spent 4 months raising over $25,000 to get these kids to Russia. We have worked together. We have done ministry together. We've done all of these different things. And I have a daughter, my adopted daughter. She's there. And I have my wife. And in the throes of this, there was stuff that was going on that I was oblivious to it. I didn't have time to see it. I didn't have time to think about it. And to realize our final night together, before we left on this trip, the entire team, we had spent the last week together almost the whole time, because it's like, if we can't stand each other here, we're going to be in big trouble when we're on the other side of the world. And we'd spent all these hours together, and we'd worked, we'd played, we'd prayed, we'd done all these things. And that final night, it was like, wow, I am so off. I've spent so much time, so much energy, because I was at a point, and I'm saying some very vulnerable things here, but I need you to understand what I'm trying to say here this morning. My daughter wanted nothing to do with me, and my wife was so upset at me because I was so important. I'm the big youth pastor taking kids to Russia, and I've raised all this money, and I've done all of this, and in the process, I've completely neglected my house. So that's what Mary and Martha are dealing with. So when Mary came, but why won't they help me? Whoa, 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 back up. You need to understand what's important here. You need to understand what's important. Let me look at a couple things here. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2 says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." All right? Do not conform to the pattern of this world. And this is the part I want us to understand here this morning. Verse 2, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good and pleasing and perfect will." Most of us have no clue what God wants us to do with our life because we're so busy trying to convince Him what we're supposed to do with our life. We are so busy running around doing all of our religious things, and we have no clue that that's what he wants you to do. I have served with senior pastors that should have never been a senior pastor because that was not their calling. Just wasn't. And they knew it. That's what made it even worse. They knew it. And you would sit there and go, so you would rather live in disobedience, doing something you think is okay, than doing what God's called you to do. I don't even get that. That's why I spent so many years as a youth and kids pastor. I had people come up to me all the time, when you got to get your own church? You're talking about congregation's bigger than yours. What are you talking about? You know? Oh, when are you going to get into real ministry? Excuse me, I have to fix your mess. Tell me who's got the real ministry. I used to make fun of guys. Oh, I'm getting out of this youth ministry stuff. I'm going into senior pastorate. That's where the freedom is. I actually had a guy tell me that's where the money is. I don't know where he went to church, but anyway, he might be selling cars now. I don't know. See how we can get ourselves so wrapped up thinking we're doing all the right thing, and we totally missed the mark. We totally missed the mark. When our margin decreases, two things happen. First of all, your stress increases. When your margin decreases in your life, your stress increases. The other thing is your relational intimacy decreases on every level. Your relationship with God decreases. Your relationship with your loved ones decreases. Your relationships with your friends decreases because you're so busy trying to be all the whatevers you're supposed to be, and we're way off the mark. We're way off the mark. All right, let's keep going here. A couple verses here as we wrap this up. Matthew 11, 28 and 29 says, and Jesus said, come to me, all you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. All right? Psalm 46:10 says, be still and know that I am God. Be still. Slow down. Shut up. That literally is what the Hebrew is telling us here. Okay? The Hebrew, be still. Shut up. I'm God. I'm God. I got this. Matthew 7:13 says, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. There's a reason why the divorce rate is as high in the Christian church as it is outside. Because we're so busy chasing dreams that were never the dreams that God gave us. We're so busy spending our life and our time and our energies on things that were never what God intended for us. Margin. All of us have to work on this. All of us have to work on this. When the stress factor in our life, when it seems like things aren't working, everything's unraveling, that's usually a good indicator to stop and say, what is out of line? What's out of balance? My blood sugar, you guys know, as being a diabetic, it's frustrating for me. I hate it, okay? It is my thorn in the flesh. And it got way out of whack. And I told the doctor, I said, listen, figure out what's wrong or I'm finding a new doctor. Okay, because I'm doing absolutely everything you tell me to do. I don't have more time in my life to do more. I just don't. I don't have extra hours in my life to spend more time exercising. Well, maybe you need to exercise more. Do you want my schedule, dude? Okay, I don't have more time to add more. Every time you say, you told me I had a year and you were going to have me off meds. And I'm on more meds now than ever. I said, I feel like I'm some kind of like cancer patient or something. I got more prescriptions coming. I said, this is ridiculous. You got me swallowing 12 pills a day here. Between all the natural things and all that. And I go, and none of it's working. So figure it out. And he goes, well, I want to check something. And in 60 seconds, he goes, I think I found the problem. He goes, I think your thyroid's gotten out of whack. Okay. You know, you're the one making all the big bucks here. I don't know. Got that problem solved? Blood sugar is so normalized, they're taking me off meds. I'm hoping my next appointment, they say, guess what? Get all that junk. So here I've been battling a problem that wasn't even the problem. That's in a physical thing. How many of us are battling problems today because we've chosen to make those our problems? And that's not what God wanted. Those are problems God never intended on you to have. Some of us are in financial debt up to here because we have made really stupid financial decisions. That's just being honest about it. But you don't yes, I do understand. Oh, yes, I do. I got teenagers. I really understand. But I need a new car. I saw a car over there. By the way, Pastor's Appreciation is coming up. 4th car down. Okay? It's black. Beautiful. $118,000. What's that? I know. That's why I'm saying it here. I just figured I'd let you know. That way we know what I expect. No, you know, No. It's right there. I mean, am I going the right way? Yeah, it's right over here. I was walking by grabbing my 89-cent big gulp or whatever they call them now. 118. And the guy that owns the place comes by and goes, what do you think of that? And I go, well, just give me the keys. I'll show you what I think of it. He just laughed. He goes, yeah. He goes, I don't even bring them on the lot until they're already sold. I go, that's insane. My house doesn't cost that much money. Somebody has it, or at least they think they have it. I don't know. Do I have to be at this? Do I have to do that? See what I'm saying? As I wrap this up, let me say this about understanding the focus. You guys know the events that have taken place in my family this last month. But as a pastor, I can be so busy that I don't have time to see that opportunity that God's opening right up in front of me. I can be. I can be so focused on the things that I deem are important, and I completely miss the airplane hangar door that God has opened up for me in front of me of opportunity because I'm so busy looking over here at the outhouse door because I think that's important. All right? I deal with that all the time. What's God saying to you this morning? If you got real honest with yourself, are you Mary or are you Martha? Because quite honestly, I think the majority of us will say, yeah, I got a whole lot more Martha going on than I do Mary. It's not all bad. It's not all wrong. It's just out of line. It's just out of line. And it's preventing us from being exactly what He wants us to be. Stand with me this morning. I've gone a little longer than I intended today, but that's all right. I'm going to give you a homework assignment. I want you to go home this week, and I want you to look at your calendar in the next 7 days between today and next Sunday. I want you to look at that calendar, and I want you to say, what is on this calendar that really I don't need to do? I'm going to take that off my calendar, and I'm going to use that same time to do something that's really important to me. Maybe it's visiting a friend that needs visited. Maybe it's just spending some time with your family that, you just haven't done. Maybe it's calling somebody that you have been meaning to call for a long time and just haven't. Maybe it's just saying, God, you and me for that hour. And you're just going to find a place and just let him speak to you. I don't know. I'm going to turn off that show. It'll be on Hulu tomorrow anyway. I can DVR it. In the grand scheme of things, it won't matter anyway. And I'm going to ask God, God, what can I do in that same time that's going to mean something that's important in your eyes? I'm going to challenge you with that because I'm going to ask you next Sunday, how many of you did it? How many of you did the assignment and what happened? Because see, I believe that when we do that, when we say, okay, God, I'm getting rid of this. You fill that time. You fill that gap. He'll do stuff with us and he'll do stuff in us. It's going to blow our mind. Opportunity that we never, ever, ever, ever dreamed of will be there. I believe that. Okay. Hello. Maybe we're getting somebody's attention. I don't know. But that's my homework assignment. That's my challenge to you today. All right? Let's pray. Father, I thank you for the opportunity this morning to pour the things that you've been putting into my heart out for each one that's here today. Lord, there may be opportunities that are ahead of us that we never even dreamt of. But I pray that you help us to really analyze how we're spending our life and get rid of some things that maybe aren't that important so we can focus on something that really is. Do I really need to be at this meeting? Do I really need to do this? We know what it is. All of us are dealing with these things. And God, help us focus ourselves on you and allow you to show us the perfect things, like Mary understood. Father, I commit this week to you. I commit our lives to you, and I ask you to help us, show us, stretch us, challenge us, and teach us. And then, Father, reveal to us. I ask this in your name. Amen. Amen.